Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host Raghunath and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Vidyādharas. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Welcome to the message of the Bhagavat. There's the book Bhagavat and the person Bhagavat. Kaustubha, want to explain what that means?
Well, there's the same energy is in both, right? This energy it's devoted to Bhagavan. And it's alive in the book. It's alive in the person. It's the same thing.
It's alive in the person. That's what we're trying to become, the human living Bhagavats, the message, delivering of the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And they're both very transformative.
They are.
How are you?
Pretty good.
All right, we have a exciting weekend
Gus
ahead.
over there.
Gus is in relaxed mode in the background, my dog.
Taking it in.
He's getting old. He subsists on peanut butter sandwiches and painkillers right now. We're here live with Bunky's here, and Jamie Step Dojo is coming here.
Bunky's up there.
Bunky's up here, yeah.
Oh, that's great news.
It is great. You remember that time me and Bunky did a road trip with my two little boys, and we pulling over on the side of the road at the Grand Canyon and various truck stops doing the podcast. We've done this podcast everywhere. Isn't it great? It's not as like high quality as like the Rich Roll podcast. I will say that, but we do it a lot.
Yeah,
we do it a lot. We do it from the side of the road, at a rest stop,
if need be.
It's hard to do it every day because life is ever changing. And for those who don't believe in previous lives, God, man, I posted a picture of myself from 21 years ago. That was like a whole different life, different
You
circle.
look like
of
a different
people.
person, even.
That was the raw food diet. I had a skinny head.
But you look better now.
Oh, you think so? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, like I feel a better energy. I think the Krishna consciousness in you kind of glows now.
Thank you. I think I'm much more Krishna conscious than I was then. But I was much more fit, that's for sure. It's like a payoff. You want to become fit or Krishna conscious? Can you be Krishna conscious and really into your body at the same time? Maybe you can. Maybe you can. Yeah, there is something to be said about sort of like being rotund and happy. Oh, Krishna. Anyway, we got a great nugget for you. But before we get into the nugget, we want to announce that our Memorial Day weekend has, I think, 3 spots left. If you want to come on down. Memorial Day weekend, tons of kirtan, tons of Raghu and Mara and Kaustubha. Our Wisdom of the Sages weekend. And we'll have
just around the corner.
Just around the corner, and it's a great way to celebrate spring. The farm's looking lovely. Spent the whole day. I tell you, it's so good forgetting all your responsibilities of the world and just being in the garden and in the lawn, mowing the lawn. Why is that so damn meditative? Just cruising around on my tractor. It's the most pleasurable thing in the world. And today, tomorrow, me and the chief, our regular Zoomer, we're building a composting toilet. And when I say we're building one, it means he is, and I'm watching and clapping my hands together. Composting toilet, outdoor shower, and we're getting our Airstream today.
I don't even know what an Airstream is.
A silver bullet, man.
Oh, that thing,
1963
that trailer
vintage.
thing.
It's a trailer for people who want to, have their own like
So
little.
it's like another
apartments.
room there when guests
It's like
come.
another room. It's another room.
Very good.
Anyway, you'll be excited when you come up.
All right.
So, any other announcements, Miss Mara?
Yeah. We got Cult of Cain asana class today at 10:30 for our Patreon members. Back to your cover group meetings online at 12:30 and 1 Eastern time, and in person this evening at the Bhakti Center at 7:30. And then tomorrow, no show, but we're back on Sunday, but that'll be at 7 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. for Q&A day.
Okay.
All right.
Alrighty. All right. Well, here's a lovely.
Oh, so
nugget
7
for you.
a.m. on Sunday. Everybody's got to mark that down.
7 a.m.
It's
is
different.
7 a.m. Sunday. Yeah, usually we do it at 8 a.m. Okay, this is a good one. This is from Anonymous. You might know him. He's famous for a lot of quotes.
Yeah, he's got like an
Must have been
alcoholics
some
thing
Greek.
going on.
Must have been some Greek or Roman guy who only goes by one name, like Seneca, Aristotle, Anonymous.
No, actually, like a few people seem to be claiming this quote, but like modern day speakers or authors or something. So,
Oh, really? I'm going to
Yeah, I
claim
think-
it then too.
yeah, you got as much right
if it's
to it
up
as
for
anyone.
grabs, I go through all. I chat GPT anonymous quotes and then I put my name on them, like Bhagavatam. Why not? If they're up for grabs, why not just claim it as yours?
I mean, you could say why not. You could say why.
To build my
Ask
false
why.
ego. That's why. Okay, here's what Anonymous says. The heaviest burdens that we carry are the thoughts in our head. Ooh. Maybe they've never built a stone wall before. Those are pretty heavy burdens too. But yeah,
No,
the heaviest
they're
burdens.
heavier.
Because this is why I like the Bhakti Recovery Group so much,
Why?
because they deal with the thoughts in your head a lot. Isn't that true, recovery people out there? Write it on the board. That just the process of going through your moral inventory of your own issues and just like coming to terms with those, and then seeing where you've taken other people's inventory. That's a 12-step quote. You've taken other people. You're so worried about what other people were doing with their life. Oh my God. And you get into everybody else's mind and everybody else's problems, and that stirs up a whole spring of like resentments that you have towards people and hatred that you're carrying around with and a bitterness you have. And it's like these things, although, I can't remember. I did something. I posted something somewhere and someone wrote me about, yeah, you got to watch out for this guy. This guy's full of crap and he's horrible. And I was thinking, why do you care about this guy so much? Well, people are so interested in other people's lives. They become, instead of becoming God-centered, they become like enemy-centered. They're all about their enemy out there. And they keep a whole plethora of enemies in their head. And it becomes like a burden for them. And it's almost like what the news media is cultivating too. Find your favorite enemy and then talk about them again and again. And with that, you'll find some joy in your tribe. But it really is just like a hate mongering. And we become hateful. We become hateful. And that becomes the biggest burden in our mind. We become worried about all these things. And we carry that around. And sometimes it's not even just a person. It's just a feeling of anxiety and stress and worry that might have a tiny grain of truth in reality, but we've blown it up to be massive and massive. And we saw that a lot during the pandemic. Fear, just living in fear, living in worry, living in distress.
and it just becomes a burden in the mind.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we were growing up, everything was about a nuclear war? Do you remember that? It's going to be a nuclear war. This is World War III. It's going to be. That's a whole
Maybe in your
generation.
mind.
No, everyone was talking about
But it
always
was
a
there.
nuclear war.
It was something that doesn't exist in the same way today. There's always that threat that the Russians are going to bomb us.
Especially earlier in the like the 70s and everyone, you start saving canned peaches and canned plums and dig a hole in your backyard. Fallout shelters. It was a thing, and we live like that. All in the head.
I think it was Mark Twain that said something like, some of the worst things in my life never happened.
Yes, that's a good quote. Some of the worst. It just all created in my head. And there's a difference between being a prepper. Like, I think it's good to be prepared, and because things can move.
Oh, do you recognize?
Yes, it is. It's very important to have weapons and canned food. No,
do you have a secret bomb shelter there on the farm?
I've got a backhoe, and I'm going to build one. That's what we're doing this weekend. We're building fallout shelters.
Everybody, you're building my bomb shelter.
Now,
go ahead.
I think it's good to be prepared for things and to be a little, to be a little independent from everything. I think there's a beauty in being, quote, off the grid. There's a very beautiful, and being able to grow vegetables and live off the land. I think there's a very beautiful thing, because we become like, look behind me. If you have a video, look at that domesticated dog. He would be destroyed in the wild.
Poor guys.
Yeah, we become domesticated animals ourselves.
But
I think there's a
Vernon,
little
I don't
feralness.
think this conversation has to go
life.
to like survival in case of doomsday scenarios, post-apocalyptic scenarios.
No, but I was just saying these worries are happen in the mind, and oftentimes they don't. We get okay. That's where I was going with that. The prepper sometimes can get so obsessed with it, they suffer tremendously. You and I know people who've lost their mind during Y2K, right? Remember Y2K?
Oh, yeah.
The turn of the century, all the computers are going to shut down, and we're just going to, everything's going to crumble. Everything's going to come to a standstill. Didn't happen. And sometimes they almost like wish it did.
Okay.
And you know what? I hate to say this, but devotees are famous for starting stuff like this too.
Well, they're not some of them. Within the devotee community, there's some people, and they're
That's a good point.
vocal.
Not all
right?
of them.
Yeah, but
Just me and a couple fringe devotees.
Fringe element. But we see in Bhagavatam, but we see it in life, like the comparison of the person that's burdened to the unburdened person. Like, an unburdened person is very attractive, right? It's like, look, they're not carrying any heavy baggage. They're carefree. They're happy. And the burdened person is like, oh my God, I'm carrying all this stuff. It's like, it's misery. Like, I'm carrying all this stuff on my back. We see that when people travel, right? Some people travel real light. Some people worry.
You're unburdened,
I'm gonna need this,
man.
I'm gonna need that, I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that. And then when it comes time to travel, and they're like all burdened with it, it's like hard.
I'm going to make a public declaration right now for everybody to hear. Because
Okay.
Stuba is very unburdened. His mind is very peaceful.
I have my burdens.
I'm not saying you're a pure devotee, but you're good. You're very, very good, and you might be a pure devotee, actually.
Well, here's my
I'm
point.
not one, but you're very I remember when the pandemic was happening, I was stressing out of my mind. It might be fun to go back to those episodes and watch me like breaking down as I went into Trader Joe's and nothing was on the shelves. I was like,
it's all falling apart.
and you were like, it's all right, it's okay. And you were cooped up in your 800 square foot apartment.
It's 800.
I was like
you don't
buying
know
a
what
20
800
gauge
square feet is.
shotgun.
It's more like 400 square feet.
Yeah,
But let me continue, Ragnar.
You were peaceful. I'm going to give you all
thank
kudos
you. I
for
appreciate that. I appreciate that. But Bhagavatam's going to show us that too. It's going to show us like remember when we're back in that chapter, one of the most entertaining sections of Bhagavatam, where there's this whole conflict between Daksha, who's burdened with resentment, maybe it's a common resentment, burdened with resentment towards his son-in-law.
Oh yeah. Just bothered. You ever meet
Bothered.
people who are looking
Raghunath, if you could
to
let
be
me just get
offended?
this.
They're looking for it. What do you mean by that? Nothing. I don't mean anything
Okay,
by it.
but we had Daksha, who he's burdened with these resentments, and he's directing them at verbally, uh, explicitly, publicly, venting at Lord Shiva. Now, Lord Shiva is entirely unburdened,
He's unburdened and he's easily angered.
but he didn't become angered there. He because
let
it
it
was
go.
directed at him. It didn't mean anything to him, right?
Yeah.
And so he just remained peaceful the entire time. And you see the way Bhagavatam, the way the whole story plays out is that Daksha's world collapses and he has his head cut off. First of all, publicly, his daughter, his beloved, beautiful daughter, rejects him and then says, you're the resentments that you bear towards my husband, they disgust me so much that I just can't bear the thought of having anything to do with you. And she like voluntarily, like, what's the word? Like lights herself up, like she takes her own life.
Self-immolated. Mary, you got to speak
Yeah,
in that microphone.
self-immolated.
Keep
And that set off like a whole wild scene where all Lord Shiva's followers just start attacking, and Daksha's head is cut off. In a
Sometimes
brutal
that
way.
happens.
It was like it wasn't coming off at first, right? And then they're hacking away at it, and then they get his head off.
Beheading happens.
And then at the end, he has his head replaced by a goat's head, and then
That
he has to
happens
go
too,
back and
but
beg.
it's more rare.
Then he has to go and beg, and there's other places where, Indra a lot of times is the person that's burdened with material desires, burdened with mundane concerns, burdened with thoughts of his power, losing power in all of this, and it's a weight. Here we see Prahlad, he's got no burdens, right? Even though his situation was very difficult, he's lighthearted.
He's peaceful, lighthearted. How do
peaceful,
I
yeah.
get that, Kastuba? How do I get it?
We got to keep
I'm
reading
not
Bhagavatam
that. I've been
and
working on
reflecting
this
it.
for like 35 years. I'm still not that.
Okay, well,
It seems like
we all need to
I
keep
know.
trying. But what's
Do I
gonna
have to take a birth again to become peaceful?
I don't
Is
know.
it working?
Maybe you just need to listen more. but in today's, we got to the point where there's this incredible scene. This is one of the most graphic, dramatic scenes in Bhagavatam. Maybe the most dramatic scene in Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Lord Nrsingadev appears. The whole scene is it's thrilling, it's exhilarating, it's terrifying, it's satisfying. It's like it's a blend of emotions going on here. There's a lot, there's a lot going on. Just the form, the sound. When he came out of the pillar, everybody heard that crack, it just, how you have sometimes that feeling like your heart stops a beat, like you feel it right in your chest or in your stomach.
Yeah.
Imagine just physically what that felt like when everybody heard that sound. No one had ever heard a sound like that, but the thunderclap can really shake people up. But this was like way beyond that. And then he busts out of that pillar, and then he's just mauls Hiranyakashipu. He slaughters him. And it's like terrifying, and then it's like, finally, we're relieved of this burden. And everybody in that room has a different state of mind, or different, you could say, state of heart. Some are more burdened, some are less burdened. We're going to hear today, there's one prayer from like a whole long list. It's kind of like a lineup of people that were there to witness it. And sometimes Bhagavatam does this. Same thing happened in that Daksha pastime when they all beg forgiveness from Lord Shiva, and then Lord Vishnu comes, and then everybody one after the other offers a prayer to Lord Vishnu, and you can see the different mentalities. And I think this is what Bhagavatam is doing, intentionally. It's like it's lining up different people that have different burdens or different concerns. and we're hearing how they relate to Vishnu.
Mm.
And then the next chapter, we hear how the pure devotee relates to Vishnu. Everybody here gets one verse. In the next chapter, Prahlad gets 43 verses, where we hear the expression of the pure devotee, the entirely unburdened person. So it's an interesting chapter.
I want to share one more thing. I was thinking about the heaviest burdens that we carry are the thoughts in our head. I was thinking that the entire yoga system, that, you know, everybody's sort of interested in Eastern thought right now. It's a very popular practice, and there's so many practices to unburden the mind.
Yeah.
Meditation, gazing, just
Gazing.
austerity. You never did gazing? Chaka, where you're just
What kind of
gazing at one
did you
point.
do? Oh,
It's
okay,
like
gazing
you
at like a
focus
flame
your
or something
mind
like
at a flame or any point, any
All right.
object, even the yoga system itself, pranayama. These all ways to sort of unburden the mind, and they work because you can do them and you can feel like, now I feel good. Or you do some deep breathing or do a whole, you know, pranayama session. You feel like, oh, now I feel good. But it's only bhakti where you're fully engaging all your senses all the time that you're fully unburdening the mind, because the mind is no longer can be filled with worry. It can be filled with how can I, or if it's worry, it's your worry of how to serve the Lord. Because
Different
the
kind of worry.
goal of the mindfulness isn't just to be peaceful. The goal of life is not just to be peaceful. The goal in life is to be deeply in love with Source.
Mm.
And that's where we're going with all the mindfulness. Who cares if I'm mindful, but I'm sort of, you could be mindful and evil, huh?
Good.
Right?
Evilly minded people.
Yeah, very thoughtful and right down to details of my evil, right? We don't want to just be mindful and thoughtful and present. We want to be God conscious. And so bhakti is a way of engaging all of it, all of the senses, all the time.
Nice. All right, you ready to get in?
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madhuriyat. Before we study the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha vadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naishtaki, by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees. All that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, Text 40.
Okay. So everybody's.
You know what? I'm gonna autocorrect right here.
Okay.
I read those really mechanically. Oh my God! All of
Wanna
those
do it
prayers
all
I
over
just
again?
said. I don't want to do it all again, but I'm just gonna just put it forward for tomorrow.
Okay.
That I'm reading them. There's a problem with there's something important about doing the same thing every day. Right? When we chant our mantras, you know, or chant our japa, if you sing bhajans, there's something important about doing it every day. You get perfect. But practice makes perfect, right?
You know
The
one
problem with every day is you can get mechanical. You can get
right.
rote.
I was thinking when I think we get too accustomed to it, and you know, like when we say, like to say, "Om Jnana Timarandasya." No.
No, it's Om.
Yeah, first you have to chant Om. Right? It's like you're meant to vibrate that sound, not just like zip over it, right? So you chant Om Jnana, you know, like at least a little something.
I know. Mine was like a machine gun.
If we do
any
just
Sanskrit scholar would be crying when they hear me chant that.
But if we do just that, if just on the Om we slow down, then it's likely we'll be good throughout the rest of the mantra.
Okay, that's good. That's a good one.
You see Radha Swami. Did you ever see Radha Swami? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He's like Om.
I know, but part of me feels like he's trying to trick you into it. Sort of like, oh, Om. Okay, we know Om. And then he's like, again, I feel like he's trying to lure you in with the Om, and then all of a sudden you're in it.
Yeah, well, that's not a
Well, I
trick.
mean,
I
it's
mean,
a
that's a good
trick.
thing, right?
It's guru god bait. I get it. It's good.
Okay. All right, so now we have to imagine this picture, right? Everybody's just witnessed the most violent but beautiful scene. And then everybody danced and sang, and flowers are coming down, and drums are beating, and the whole thing. And now, like, everything's settled a bit. And now, Lord Vishnu in this terrifying form, just his mane is covered in blood, and
Ah,
but somehow it's very beautiful,
yeah.
right?
Isn't it interesting?
Yes,
Like when you see a bad guy get killed,
well, no, but
you're
I'm
like,
saying,
you cheer.
but even the bloody, like it's somehow like it's all just made him still more beautiful, like the blood on his mane and all of that.
Yeah.
And now it's like he's sitting on the throne. He just took
Yeah.
it over, and people are approaching, but he's too hot. It's like,
Don't get me going.
yeah,
Too
it's
hot.
because at the end of this, I think it's Lord Brahma is going to turn to Prahlad and say, oh, he's going to say, first, Lakshmi, can you go and, you're his divine consort. He's too hot right now. Can you go and cool him down? And she can't. And then finally, Brahma turns to Prahlad and says, Prahlad, it's only you. He came for you. You go and you speak to him. But everybody's going to offer prayer here, but he's kind of like, almost like still like seething on that throne, He's just so angry that his devotee was being mistreated.
All right, Krishna.
Ooh.
All right, ready? Here's Lord Brahma praying.
By the way, I just want to say these first three, Brahma, Shiva, and Indra, kind of a big three.
This is the
right?
VIPs.
Yeah, and Brahma,
VIDs, very important demigods.
Brahma is very pure. He's he's a great sage. He's not just a demigod, but he's like he's kind of the senior most and known
He's
for his
number one.
wisdom. Yeah, and Lord Shiva, he's like, if anything, more pure
He's practically Vishnu here.
because he's practically Vishnu. Yeah, and then Indra is another category. Now it's kind of like he's like one of us in a sense, just in a particular post, right? He's an incredibly special soul amongst all the souls in the
He's like
universe.
one of us, except better in every possible way.
Right. But he has the struggles, of a materialist, as blended with his devotion. And so these are the first three are very interesting prayers.
Okay, this is Lord Brahma, the number one son.
Okay.
My Lord, you are unlimited and you possess unending potencies. No one can estimate or calculate your prowess and wonderful influence, for your actions are never polluted by the material energy.
Okay.
Through the material qualities, you very easily create the universe, maintain it, and again annihilate it. Yet you remain the same without deterioration. Right? It's no big deal. Creating a universe, that's like no problems. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Yeah. So a couple of things here, right? Brahma's not saying, because many of the other people that come later, they're going to say they have their own individual concern, and they say, "You just solved the problem for me. Thank you."
Yeah.
Right. Brahma's not saying. Brahma's expressing wonder. People just can't calculate your prowess or your influence. Now, generally, Brahma is known for his influence. And he's known for his creation. But, we're talking about how do we become unburdened? Brahma's doing it right here because Brahma, he gets a lot of respect. A lot of reputation is built on being the creator. But here he's actually handing that over. I'm not actually the creator. You're the creator. And when I so-called create, I become depleted. Right? Whereas you create unlimitedly and you remain entirely undepleted. There's no deterioration in you. How in the world do you do that? I offer my obeisances to you. And the commentators are saying that Brahma is kind of also expressing wonder. Like, who can understand this Leela? The devotee became a demon, right? Like the demon Hiranyakashipu was, one of Jai or Vijay.
Right.
Who were devotees. So the devotee became a demon. Now Prahlad's born in the demon family, the demon became the devotee, right?
Ah.
And then he goes and he kills, you know, his devotee that became the demon. He saves the demon that became the devotee, you know, in the most wondrous way. Like, who can understand you? We just
Are
can't
there any
measure
demons
you.
that are just happy being demons? Like not a devotee that became a demon, or
Yeah, but
anybody just like, no, I'm staying a demon.
sure, there are plenty of them.
Yeah.
I mean, in one sense, we're all devotees, right? Like, in one sense, you know, but
Everybody's a devotee. Is everybody a devotee? Everybody.
well, you know, constitutionally.
Right? It should be even
Yeah.
like a ghost, a ghoul, a rakshasa. They're probably devotees deep down underneath it
Nityasiddha
all. Isn't
Krishna
that our
Prema, you
theory?
know?
That
Yeah.
every soul is pure.
Yeah.
But for lifetime, and I can understand this, and sometimes Prabhupada will say things like eternally nitya bandha, like eternally bound up. It's like as if lifetimes of bad choices.
Yeah. Prabhupada will, whenever those kind of terms are used, Prabhupada carefully points out that that means since time immemorial, like just so long that, you know.
I wonder if I was in that category of lifetimes of bad choices.
I mean, that also has to do with understanding time, because when
That's
you get
interesting,
beyond
yes.
the material realm, there is time doesn't operate in the same way. So you're either situated in a situation of eternal this or eternal that, and then you flip it, you know.
And
Any
how
case,
do you
so
flip it? You flip it because a pure devotee comes into your life somehow and
flips it
offers
for
you,
you.
or someone is tagged. Some great soul has tagged somebody to enter into your life and pull you right out of that nitya bandha, that eternally bound condition. It's amazing. If you look back at all of our lives, somehow there's been a hand that's reached in and grabbed us by the collar and just and pulled us out, and like maybe turned us around, slapped us in the face a little. Hey, wake up, and then just left. And here we are on Zoom talking about it.
There you go.
All right, let's continue on now. This is Lord Shiva
41.
talking
Now Lord Shiva.
He's going to say something. The end of the millennium is the time for your anger. Now that this insignificant demon Hiranyakashipu has been killed, right? He was the most significant in the material universe. Now he's so insignificant. Oh, my Lord, who are naturally affectionate to your devotee, kindly protect his son, Prahlad Maharaj, who is standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee.
Now, this is interesting too. He just did the same thing Brahma did, because he's known for playing his role of manifesting a divine sort of anger in order to annihilate the universe at the end of its time, right? Like no one can do that like Shiva. But he's saying, actually, when I do that, it's your empowerment within me that does it, right? It's not my power of anger that destroys the universe. It's actually yours. So at the end of the millennium, the end of the millennium is the time for your anger. Although he's the one that actually does it, right? Shiva does it, but he's saying it's really you working through me. Right?
It's humility. When you see great personalities with humility, it's quite inspiring.
He's unburdened, right? And because he's unburdened, what has he made space for in his own mind and heart? He's got total space to be concerned about what's most pleasing to Vishnu. He turns around and says, and he thinks of Prahlad, right? Kindly protect his son Prahlad, who's standing nearby as your fully surrendered devotee. He's pointing at all. Here's the person who it's all about, right? You're huffing and puffing and angry right now, but please, be affectionate to your beautiful devotee.
Right.
Others, they're not thinking so much about Prahlad. They're thinking about, you just fixed everything. It was a real mess before you came along, and it messed up the like we're going to see. Indra. His prayer is like, to me it's maybe the most interesting one, because it's a blend of so many things.
Well, you got to understand, like
material concern.
Indra was also going through hell with Hiranyakashipu.
Yeah. No, this whole list of people now, they were going through hell. Okay. Brahma, I guess not so much.
I mean, Brahma and Shiva were not going through so much
way
hell,
up on this higher
but
level.
now Indra is.
They're dealing with it. Yeah.
Indra is the #1 son here went through hell because of Hiranyakashipu.
Okay, let's hear what he says.
O Supreme Lord, you are our deliverer and protector. Our shares of sacrifice, which are actually yours, have been recovered from the demon by you.
Okay.
Right. Right. I'll get into it. Because the demoniac king Hiranyakashipu was most fearsome, our hearts, which are your permanent abode, were all taken over by him.
That's very
Our
interesting
hearts get
statement.
taken over. It also can mean
They
our
became
minds get taken
burdened.
over. Our
Yeah.
minds become burdened.
Yeah.
Now, by your presence, the gloom and darkness in our hearts have been dissipated. O Lord,
Okay.
for those who always engage in your service, which is more exalted than liberation. All material opulence is insignificant. Let me read that again. O Lord, for those who are always engaged in your service, this is Bhakti Yoga, which is more exalted than liberation. This is mukti.
Mhm.
All material opulence is insignificant. Right?
Okay.
Don't care so much. They do not even care for liberation, the devotees, not to speak of other benefits of the material world like kama, getting your desires mixed, your artha, your work in this world, and dharma.
So he said three things here, and it's just such a blend. He's a person that's like he's a devotee, but he has materialistic concerns still burdening his heart. You know. So the first thing he says is, he speaks to this idea that Hiranyakashipu had screwed something up. The whole universal order, he messed with it. The devas are supposed to receive shares of sacrifice. There's like a some kind of universal order, some kind of universal system, right? Where the devas take up huge responsibility, and the dharma that's laid out is that, you know, human beings are meant to make offerings to them, and somehow they enjoy those offerings, somehow they benefit and enjoy those offerings. And Hiranyakashipu wanted to upset the dharmic system, break it down and make it all about him. And so so the pleasures or enjoyments that Indra was due had been cut off. And now Vishnu, in the form of Lord Nrsimhadeva, had just restored that. He's grateful for that. He's expressing his gratitude. You just made my material life better. Thank you for that. But then he says something that's more devotional, right? You don't hear Shiva saying, I had this gloom, this darkness in my heart because of Hiranyakashipu, because he's unburdened. But Indra was feeling such a burden because of Hiranyakashipu, and he said, that place in my heart that I reserved for you, he took it over, and I couldn't think of you, I couldn't feel for you, because my mind, my heart was completely burdened by thoughts of this horrible demon. Now I feel relief that you're sitting in my heart now. That's the place that's meant for you. That's your abode. And now you're restored there. It's a very interesting prayer. It's devotional, but it's also showing that he's vulnerable. His devotion is vulnerable to externals, right?
And this is another the symptom of bhakti. I think I said this the other day. The fever of anxiety starts to diminish until this point where you are pretty undisturbed. But I'm saying this in a genuine way. I get worked up still. But at the same time, if I look back in retrospect to where I was coming from, exponentially more peaceful.
I saw it in that photograph, Raghunath. You're much less burdened now, I think.
Less burdened, man.
Yeah, I think you're a little burdened back then.
I was a little bit burdened. And where was the burden? It wasn't in my material situation. It was just all my material mind.
The mind, yeah.
It was in the mind a little. So yeah. We're works in progress, people. This works. You got to work it, and we're works in progress.
So now he did three things. He thanked and appreciated Vishnu for restoring. You know, I'm getting my shares of the sacrifice again. And he's saying, really, they belong to you, right? It kind of like, I enjoy them, although they really belong to you. I enjoy them. That's where I'm at.
It's like what like prasad. We offered that to the deity, and now I'm eating it.
Yeah. Then he says, And then your presence has relieved me of this doom and gloom. I was burdened with thoughts of this demon, and now you're back in my mind and heart, and that feels good. And then he laments, in a sense, that, your pure devotees aren't burdened with selfish desires like me, right? Those who are always engaged in your service, which is more exalted than liberation, all material opulence to them is insignificant. They don't even care for liberation. They're unburdened with the desire for material things. They're even unburdened by the desire for liberation. I wish I was like that. I'm not like that. Here I am. I'm burdened with wanting power, wanting opulence, wanting the share of my sacrifices, all these things, So it's so very mixed prayer. Okay, now we hear about the rishis. Interesting characters.
All the saintly persons present offered their prayers in this way. A rishi is like a sage. O Lord, O supreme maintainer of those sheltered at your lotus feet, O personality of Godhead, the process of austerity and penance, in which you instructed us before, is the spiritual power of your very self. It is by austerity that you create this material world, which lies dormant within you. This austerity was almost stopped by the activities of this demon, but now, by yourself appearing in the form of Nrsingadev, which is meant just to give us protection, and by killing this demon, you have again approved the process of austerity.
So
Very interesting. The strength of the rishis is their renunciation of this world, and because of it, they developed some spiritual acumen.
Yeah, or even just like direct practices of austerity, right? Sitting in this place, or So they were concerned about this. What's the first words in the universe? Brahma, he's born on the lotus. He's looking around. He's trying to. It's all dark. He's trying to find what's the origin of the lotus that I'm sitting on. He climbs down the stem. He doesn't find anything. He goes back up, and then he hears two syllables: tapa, right? Do austerity, right? Tapas, and so then he performs tapasya, and then through that it brought about his creative power and his lucid spiritual thought. And the rishis follow in the footsteps of Brahma, right? They're like, through that, we recognize the working, how the universe works by Lord's Vishnu desire. There's a connection between the practice of austerity. As you mentioned, it's kind of like it said, it's the wealth of the Brahmanas, right? Because through it, they develop creative power and lucid thought. And Hiranyakashipu came and he shut it down, right? He didn't want their creative power. He didn't want their lucid thought. He wanted just all attention focused on him. And now that's all been restored. Prabhupada writes in the commentary, said, all the saintly persons, the rishis, who were generally engaged in austerity, felt relieved when Hiranyakashipu was killed by the Lord in the form of Nrsingadev. They realized that the original instruction concerning human life, interesting, right? The original instruction concerning humans are meant, not animals don't have to do, but humans, they're meant to practice austerity. They realized that the original instruction concerning human life that is meant for tapasya or for self-realization was reaffirmed by the Lord when he killed Hiranyakashipu. They're like, our world was the practice of austerity for the purpose of self-realization. We got this clear thinking through it. And Hiranyakashipu just messed up the whole world. Like, that was our world. Now it's back again, and they're happy doing their austerities again.
All right, so these are now the inhabitants of Pitri Loka are going to offer their prayers.
So who are the inhabitants of Pitri? Planet
of the forefathers.
So these forefathers are there. What are they concerned about, right? They're on this higher planet. What is it in their heart that, in a sense, we could say burdens them?
Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsingadev, the maintainer of Dharma, or religious principles of the universe. He has killed Hiranyakashipu, the demon who by force enjoyed all the offerings of the Shraddha ceremonies, right? Performed by our sons and grandsons on the anniversaries of our death, and who drank the water with the sesame seeds offered in the holy places. With what?
Well, a little sesame flavor in there.
Sesame offered in the holy places of pilgrimage. So this is what traditional in Hindu rituals is, when you on the day of the birthday or the anniversary of the death,
Yeah.
you perform what's called the Shraddha ceremony, where you make offerings to the pitris, to your ancestors, and to appease them and to give them blessings. And it's generally done by the sons or the grandsons. By killing this demon, O Lord, you have taken back all this stolen property from his abdomen by piercing it with your nails. It's a little poetic.
Yeah, he ripped open the abdomen where he had digested all of their offerings that were due to them.
We therefore wish to offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
Yeah. So let's try to understand this. It's saying that if we go to the Vedas, which are ancient texts that really had to do with getting people to be more pious, right? More sattvic. You want to enjoy, we can help you enjoy, but we're going to do it in a way that's more refined and in harmony with the gods and the goddesses and in harmony ultimately with God. It'll be a healthy way for you to pursue materialism rather than very unhealthy ways that we're prone to. So then they say, okay, we're going to tell you how things work, that if you carefully train your children to be good, pious, religious, dharmic people, then they will imbibe that from you. And then when you die, they can maintain through their offerings, by them continuing ritual which is infused with thoughts of Lord Vishnu and acts of selflessness and so on, that by performing that ritual, you will be maintained on a higher planet. And they know that. And so it kind of obliges the next generation to take up the same rituals, the same healthy rituals as the previous generation. And then they're concerned about their place, that it be maintained. And so they pass that on to their kids, and you create this chain of dharma, in a sense, right? So the pitches, like we're situated on this higher planet, but Hiranyakashipu is messing up the whole thing, right? He's like, just due to him, we may lose this position. And then Lord Vishnu comes, reestablishes it all, and they're saying, thank you. Thanks to you. He was taking all of those offerings for himself. Now there's hope for us that we can be maintained. The dharmic order has been restored.
Okay, this is now coming from Siddha Loka. This is a planet of perfected beings.
Yogis. Mystical yogis.
Interesting. What do they do out there all the whole time?
They do mystic yoga.
Is it fun? I mean, is it just peaceful? Is it fun?
It's got to be peaceful.
Interesting. It's got to be peaceful. I wonder if Christ was from Siddha Loka. You ever think like that? Like, where are these people from? Christ or
He will say that he had those
Saint
kind
Peter.
of abilities.
Saint Peter. Where does he go? Siddha Loka?
He goes wherever Jesus goes.
Saint Peter go to Goloka? I don't think that's true. But he could have went to Siddha Loka. That's like a heaven. These are like a heaven. To go to Siddha Loka would be like what the Christians described as a heaven. Yeah. Right?
Probably he goes, if his full concentration was on Jesus, he'll go to Jesus.
Yeah. Didn't Prabhupada once say that Jesus has his own planet?
I'm not sure.
Maybe. I could imagine that.
Jesus Loka.
Jesus Loka? You want to go back to Godhead, or you want to go to Jesus Loka? You choose.
It must be very nice.
Yeah, I bet there's a Buddha Loka.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Super Farm is Raghu Loka.
Lizard Loka. That was when we read about lizards people yesterday and snake people.
Oh, they're going to have things to say too.
What's that?
What do you think? Here's a test for you. What was the burden, or what was the concern when they get up to pray? What do the Nagas pray about?
Oh, Garuda. They're always worried about Garuda eating
It wasn't
them.
Garuda.
It wasn't. Weasels? Who else kills snakes? Ricky Tikki Tavi? I don't know.
We'll find out tomorrow what the Nagas were concerned about.
I'll be on the edge of my seat. Oh, Lord Nrsingadev. This is the Siddhas. Lord Nrsingadev, because we belong to Siddha Loka, we automatically achieve perfection in all 8 kinds of mystic power. That is awesome.
That kind of attitude, Raghunath, that'll get you to Siddha Loka, but it won't get you to Goloka if you think it's so. That is awesome.
No,
Right,
no,
right.
it is awesome. It is an awesome thing. I mean,
Okay.
Christ pulled out all these, and you don't. Yeah, anyway.
He did it, used it for service.
Yet Hiranyakashipu was so dishonest that by now, strength of his power and austerity, he took away our powers.
They didn't have
Thus,
any of their cities. Took it away.
just sitting on that planet without cities like this, they're walking on the water and they just fall in.
Start sinking in. What is this? Sink it into the water.
I was trying to make this water into wine and nothing happened. It's still water. Thus, he became very proud of his mystic strength. Now, because of this rogue has been killed by your nails. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you.
It's kind of like everybody sees through their own desire in a sense, right? It's like,
Right.
we didn't have our mystic powers because of him. You've restored that. Thank you. Right. It's
The
interesting.
inhabitants of Vidyādhara Loka prayed, our acquired power to appear and disappear in various ways according to varieties of meditation was banned by that foolish Hiranyakashipu because of his pride in his superior bodily strength and his ability to conquer others. This is almost like, 1989 when the Berlin Wall fell and everyone's like, they're free. They couldn't practice religion. And religion
Yeah.
took off like everything through the Eastern Europe. And this is sort of like, ding dong, the witch is dead. Yeah, and everyone feels right.
Yeah, it's like that.
The wicked witch is dead.
So these again, you said yesterday, right? Vidyādhara.
Yeah.
They carry knowledge, but where do they get that knowledge? They get it through meditation. So they get knowledge, mystic knowledge through meditation. And Hiranyakashipu said, no more mystic meditation. Like that's
Right.
through. So
Yeah.
they're happy that that's been restored. I think we're out of time unless you want to find
Let
out.
me finish. I didn't finish this. Now the Supreme Personality of Godhead has killed him just as if the demon were an animal. Unto that supreme pastime form of Lord Nisringadev, we eternally offer our respectful obeisances to you.
He
Miss
slaughtered.
Mara, give us a takeaway that we can hold till Sunday at 7 a.m.
And you're not going to find out what happened to the Nagas
Till Monday.
until Monday.
If people have questions, they can email us at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
You got that, people? Send your questions in. Or else we're going to just put it all on Bunky. Bunky, we need questions from you. Your
Well,
Well,
deepest...
tomorrow is like you'll
Thursday.
probably take, or on Sunday you probably take them from the live audience.
Oh, yeah, we'll take them from the live people.
But still send them in.
So
Sure.
it is Bunky's questions.
His Bunky's questions.
He's got good questions always.
Always. Okay.
All right. Be God-centered, not enemy-centered.
No enemy-centered. People do it. Don't do it.
Hate and resentment are our biggest burdens.
Carrying
Mm-hmm.
them around. Big bag of rocks.
Big bag of rocks around your neck like a...
Like
Yeah.
what?
Like a person with a big bag of rocks around their neck.
Isn't there like a bird that carries it?
Donkey.
No, there's a word I'm thinking of. Someone knows what I'm talking about. Stork with a big bag of rocks around
Like a-
his neck.
I think the stork carried babies.
Someone put it on the board, please. So I don't
Albatross.
sound- Okay.
Beheading.
Albatross. Thank you, Kylie.
Well, albatross, I don't think it has a bag of rocks. It just has a hard time getting off the ground.
Wiki that right now. There's a
Okay.
story behind it. Okay,
Is there?
go ahead.
Beheading happens if you're burdened with resentment.
Beheading happens.
Cut your head off.
We don't want to just be mindful. We want to fall deeply in love with God.
There
Yeah.
we go.
The albatross is sometimes used metaphorically to mean a psychological burden, most often associated with guilt or shame. It is in okay, why though?
That's a
In the
good word for
In
today.
the poem Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, an albatross follows a ship setting out to sea, which is considered a sign of good luck. However, the titular mariner shoots the albatross with a crossbow, an act that will curse the ship and cause it to suffer terrible mishaps.
Don't shoot the albatross.
Don't shoot the albatross. Unable to speak due to lack of water, the ship's crew let the mariner know through their glances that they blame him for their plight. And they tie the bird around his neck
Oh,
They tie the bird around the
Okay, they had the bird
captain's
around his neck.
Okay, that's something like that as a sign of his guilt.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Continue on.
It's a big bird. Albatross? I think they got the biggest, longest wingspan.
Yeah.
Oh.
Remember the episode we did on that crazy bird from New Zealand?
Oh yeah, the shoebill, spoonbill.
Oh, the shoebill stork.
Yeah.
Shoebill stork. That's an
Nasty.
evil looking
That's
bird.
Nasty.
scary. Yet sort of silly looking as well. Okay, go on.
Yeah, it's both.
Practice daily, but don't make it mechanical.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
A lot of good takeaways in that opening
Rant.
rant.
No, it's good rant.
Great personalities with humility have space for thinking of the devotees.
Okay.
Ooh. Let me get a ooh, ooh. Go.
Vishnu can dissipate the gloom in our hearts.
Yeah.
For bhakti yogis, material opulence is insignificant.
It's not super significant. It's a little significant, but it's not very-
And
Mhm.
ding dong, the wicked Hiranyakashipu is dead.
Is off where the goblins go below, below, below. That's a good song. That's a great. I never thought of it as a musical, but that's a musical. Of course it is. Wizard of Oz is a musical. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We're going to be back Sunday at 7 a.m. Hope to see you there. If you haven't got my book, now's the time to order. Go to Amazon.com, order Punk to Monk. And if you're thinking about doing it right now, guess what? Double it, okay? If you've already got it now, get another one. Give it to a friend. Who just wrote me? Soka Krishna said he's purchased about 20 of them already. Giving out to everyone. Double that, Soka.
We're all gonna have what?
Henry's buying like truckloads of them, giving them out to people. And it feels like, oh, this person would be good. And if you do like it, write a review, please. Go to Amazon, write a review. It makes all the difference. I'm reading them all. And I'm still waiting for Kastuba to read it. Can you believe that Kastuba hasn't read the book, Linda? What do you think about that? Where'd Kastuba go?
I want to read it. I'm just trying to write.
I know you're busy, but it's going to enhance everything else that you do.
I'll give it a try.
I'll read your book. If it comes out on audiobook. What was that? What's that book website that you get books, but they're really small? It's like Cliff Notes. Oh, look who's here. Jamie Step Dojo offering those obeisances. Jamie Step Dojo is one of those guys who comes to a hardcore show, sees the devotees, and offers his obeisances in the middle of the pit. The devotees are here. Everyone's doing like karate kicks around. Jamie Step Dojo is like offering obeisances to the
What's Drummond
brahmacharis.
doing out there?
What's that?
What about
Him
Drummond?
and Drummond are on the floor, bowing down, doing Dundabat Parikrama around the pit.
And Maya was just tearing it up out there. She was just like.
Well, that's what you got to fear if you're offering obeisances in the pit. You got to watch out for Maya with Sachi on her shoulders.
And then Paris too, just like
And
watching
Paris
it all
too,
from the
doing
stage.
these dangerous stage dives.
First taking off her jewelry, setting her purse aside.
Like, here's my Rolex, you can hold that. Here's unclipping her earrings. Here you go. Oh, that was a great day, wasn't it? Seeing Paris do stage dive. Me and you are looking at each other like, the world, the hardcore scene has really changed since we were kids.
We got to get a copy to Karuna somehow. Maybe you could send one in the mail.
I think Karuna can't read it yet. Her mother's got to read it first. Okay, it.
What do you mean? There's nothing in there.
Some racy parts. My life wasn't all black and white. It was full color, full spectrum, living color, 3D sense around.
He's saying you're too young, Karuna.
You're too young, Karuna. You can get the child's version. It's lots of pictures with one line underneath it, and then Raghunath met
says
the
it's okay.
Buddhist guy.
Yeah, it's saving you from hearing the Calcutta Book Fair story.
Calcutta Book Fair is not in the. That's not in the children's version.
Maybe you should make a children's version.
Harley's instructions to me were like we dumb
Bit
those down
profane.
real simple. God is beautiful. He wasn't carrying a weapon in his hands. He was carrying like a
Flower.
bouquet of roses. Okay, beautiful people. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Dig a composting toilet. Haribo!